Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for the Johns Hopkins School of Education Postmaster Certificate in Applied Behavior Analysis virtual webinar. My name is Tanya McMillan. I am an admissions coordinator here at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Also presenting today, I have my colleague from the Office of Admissions, and she will introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sion John, Assistant Director of Admissions at the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Thank you for joining us today.
We also have Professor and Faculty Lead, Dr. Tamara Martyr, and an alum of the ABA program, Bethany Fitzgerald, joining us today as well. Before we get started, I would like to go over a few housekeeping rules. First, today's webinar is being recorded. We will be able to share a link by email with you after the event is complete. Please take a quick moment to see if your microphone is on mute right now. Also, please have your microphone muted and video off at all times during today's presentation. There will also be a Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Please type your questions in the chat box, and we will read and answer your questions after the presentation. I would like to share the agenda for today's virtual webinar. We will begin the presentation sharing an overview of the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Then Dr. Martyr will review the details of the ABA program. We also have an alum of the program, and she will share her experience at the School of Education. Lastly, my colleague Sion will wrap it up with admissions requirements, and we will leave the floor open for questions at the end. I will start with some quick facts about the Johns Hopkins School of Education. We are one of 9 schools at Johns Hopkins University. We began offering college courses for teachers in 1909 and then became our own school in 2007. We are proud to share that the Johns Hopkins School of Education is consistently ranked one of the top schools in education by the U.S. News and World Report. For school enrollment, we have approximately 2,437 students and offer more than 30 graduate programs, which includes doctoral, master's, and graduate certificate programs. We have a strong network of over 22,000 SOE alums as well. Now, to introduce our faculty, Dr. Martyr is the faculty program lead for the ABA program. She has worked in the field of applied behavior analysis since 1994. Her research interests include improving learning outcomes for students with developmental disabilities and autism through effective training and preparation of educators and professionals who provide educational services. This includes training educators on implementing evidence-based practices with fidelity and preparing special educators in the field of applied behavior analysis. Welcome, Dr. Martyr. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thank you so much for joining us. I'm glad that we are all here to talk about the ABA program at Johns Hopkins. If we can go to the next slide, that would be great. Okay, great. So most of you are here because you're interested in our program. So the assumption is that you do have some understanding or knowledge about applied behavior analysis, and that is why you've applied to our program or are considering applying to our program. But I want to take a few minutes to just quickly give an overview, because sometimes people want to know a little bit more about what they can do with a program in applied behavior analysis, where they can go in their career. So understanding what applied behavior analysis is really a scientific study of the principles of learning and behavior. So how do we learn, and why do humans engage in the behaviors that they engage in? So behavior analysis, which emphasizes evidence-based practices, is a systematic approach for applying the principles of learning to improve what we call socially important behavior for all individuals. So these are behaviors that we all engage in every single day. And if we think about students in a K through 12 setting or an educational setting, Those are important skills like learning to read, learning to do math, all those academic skills, but also it's life skills or social skills or being able to engage in classroom activities without any challenging behaviors. The the board certified behavior analyst is what we consider a graduate level certification in behavior analysis. So, for example, students who go through our program, at the end of the program, along with doing their practicum hours, they would be eligible to sit for the BCBA exam and become board certified behavior analysts. So sometimes folks will ask me, tell me about BCBAs in educational settings. Well, they can be found in a variety of educational settings, from your typical K through 12 public schools or private schools, in what we call center-based programs or home-based programs, focusing solely on implementing ABA practices, as well as school consultation agencies. The roles that behavior analysts can take on within those educational settings are titles such as behavior specialist, could just be teacher, special educator, school psychologist, staff trainer, that focuses on professional development, speech and language pathologist. We have program coordinators, home therapists, and administrators. So as you can see, behavior analysts work in a variety of settings as well as roles within education. Okay, so in educational settings, we talked about the roles and the settings, but what type of activities do behavior analysts engage in? So they typically provide services that can include conducting behavioral assessments, looking at the data that has been collected to make database decisions. Is the student's progress going in the right direction? Do changes need to be made to instruction or behavior plans? Behavior analysts also write behavior analytic intervention plans that includes what we call skill acquisition plans. So how do we teach a specific skill, or behavior reduction programs? They are also responsible for training others to implement those plans and overseeing the general implementation of the plans. And if you're familiar with the BACB, we follow the 5th edition task list, which is pretty much a compilation of all the different skills and tasks that we expect BCBAs to engage in or to be knowledgeable about. So then that takes us to talking about our program and how it's designed. So as I mentioned before, our program is really focused on educational settings and educators in those settings. So we have special educators, general educators, school psychologists, school counselors. We do have a speech and language pathologist who's currently in the program. And the program provides the ability to learn that evidence-based practice of ABA so that all of our practitioners who graduate from our program are able to meet the growing needs of children who do receive special education services. This program also supports the career goals of educators and other school personnel who really desire this specialized training. There are 7 courses, so it's a total of 21 courses that are 21 credits, that are part of this certificate program. We also offer Practicum elective courses, there are 4 of them, so it's a total of 12 credits for students who would like to gain the practice or fieldwork experience hours that is required to become board certified. So we do offer that opportunity to complete that within Johns Hopkins. So students who complete the full 7 courses as well as the elective courses can complete the program in 3 years. All of our faculty are board certified behavior analysts, and they are practicing in the field every day, and then they come and teach all of our graduate students in the evenings. So in order to have a high integrity and high standards for our program, we are verified by the Association for Behavior Analysis International. So that means that they've reviewed all of our courses and our syllabi to make sure that it meets the requirements for eligibility to take the board certified behavior analyst exam. So the BACB requires that we offer 315 hours of coursework. And so that is the ABAI has verified all of our courses that it meets those standards. So the way the program is set up, as I previously mentioned, that students can complete the program, candidates can complete the program in 6 semesters across 3 years when they take 2 courses each semester. So we offer our courses in the fall and the spring semester. We do not have any courses in the summer. And courses are offered in the evening in a face-to-face format in person, which we're very excited to be back in person in the fall, 2 nights per week in our central location in Columbia, Maryland. The practicum experiences are also planned. If students are completing their practicum with us or are taking those 4 elective courses, they are planned according to your current place of employment. So as long as you can provide ABA services within that setting, because we don't want anybody to have to leave their position. Most students are working full-time and going to school in the evening. However, if you do not have a placement, or if your placement is not, or your place of employment does not sort of meet the application of behavior analytics services, then we would work with you with our practicum coordinator to pursue a practicum site on your behalf. So this is what the 3 years looks like, which includes not only the core courses, the 7 courses, but also the practicum courses. So in the fall semester of year 1, we always talk about how it is like going to a new country and learning a new language, and you're learning the language of applied behavior analysis. So in the first semester, we have our Intro to ABA and Special Education course. So it really is understanding all of those concepts and principles of applied behavior analysis. So really understanding those concepts, going through the theory and how it is applied. And then also the second course in that fall semester is our Research Methods course, where we are looking at how do we use our data, evaluate that data, and monitor progress. So if we think about single subject design, we're thinking about research, but also it helps our practitioners, these procedures help our practitioners to be able to determine what is an effective program for our students for data that is being collected. I think we lost our slides there for a second.
Give us a couple seconds, Dr. Marner. We're going to get the slide right back.
Okay, great.
Yes, sorry about that.
That's okay. So I'll keep talking because I was just talking about the fall semester, and then the spring semester, we move into 2 courses that are looking at challenging behaviors. So specifically, how do we reduce challenging behaviors? What are our assessments, like functional assessment, functional behavior assessment, and how do we implement effective behavior intervention plans? And also in that spring semester, we also talk about ethics, which is a great course because we're really focused in how do we practice as ethical practitioners, and what are the important skills that we need to have as practitioners. What is our professional conduct? So you can see that now our slides are back. Thank you. We can see that in the spring semester of year 1. Like I said, there are no courses in the summer, and then we move into the fall semester of year 2, where we look at instructional strategies. So how do we increase behaviors we want to see, the skills that we want to see? So we're thinking about how do we assess for skill deficits, and then how do we provide instruction following behavior analysis strategies. So if you think about that first semester of year 1, you're really talking about the principles and concepts of behavior analysis, and the research methods class, where we talk about how do we evaluate data and how we know that change is happening. And then in the spring semester of year 1 and fall semester of year 2, you are applying all of the information and knowledge that you learned in that first semester in those additional semesters during the spring semester year 1 and fall semester year 2. Also, during fall semester year 2, if you are electing to complete the practicum with us, that is when the ABA practicum will begin. And I'll talk about practicum in a few minutes. And then we go into the second year of the program, spring semester. We move into our course on supervision and consultation practices in ABA, and this is our newest course. We're super excited about this class because it really is focusing on how do we supervise others. So how do we supervise others who are implementing the plans that BCBAs have written? How do we supervise others who want to be future BCBAs? So once you're out there in the world and you're a BCBA, you can supervise other people. We also focus in on consultation. So how do we consult to other schools? How do we consult across our school settings? We're going to be working in teams within educational settings. So how do we consult with a multidisciplinary team? Or how do we consult with people who are coming to us and saying, hey, I need help with this behavior, I need your expertise? How do we engage in consultative skills? And then the second practicum would be available during the spring semester of year 2. And then our final course of the 7 courses is during year 3, fall semester, which is called Applications of ABA in the Classroom. And this course is more of like a special topics in ABA in education. So we talk about a variety of different topics, from ABA in autism, ABA in early intervention. We talk about ABA and different types of functional analysis and implementation within school settings or educational settings. We talk about ABA and positive behavior intervention support, so a variety of different special topics. The second half of that class, we focus in on how do you prepare for this BCBA exam. So what are some of the study strategies that we have developed, and we go through that during that class as well to support our students. And then finally, you see Practicum 3 is available in the fall semester of year 3, and then the final semester is the 4th Practicum elective. So students who go through all of these courses, including the Practicum, can then plan to graduate in May and then take the exam in August is the earliest. I would recommend taking the exam after completing the coursework. So I will talk about Practicum in a few minutes, but I just wanted to talk about the learning outcomes of this program first. As you can see, there are a variety of different learning outcomes. And you can see how this really goes along with our course sequence that I just reviewed, but being able to understand those concepts and principles of behavior analysis, being able to use research methods to evaluate interventions and plans that are implemented, being able to conduct those assessments to identify what instructional program is needed or behavior reduction plan is needed, thinking about functional behavior assessment, being able to design, implement, and evaluate, so from our research methods, those programs, and then being able to practice as an ethical behavior analyst, and then finally, not finally, but the second to last learning outcome here is implementing, managing, and practicing behavior analysis, specifically in an educational setting. And then the final outcome, which is sort of the ultimate outcome here, is to successfully complete the Behavior Analyst Certification Board exam and become a board certified behavior analyst. So let's get into talking about Practicum. As you are probably all aware, we do have new experience fieldwork standards that are starting in January 2022. So our cohort that entered last fall in fall 2020 is being prepared under the 5th edition task list and these new experience standards. So all folks who come through the program will be prepared to sit for the exam under and eligible to sit for the exam under the new 2022 requirements. So we have developed 4 Practicum courses that are designed to meet the experience standards for what we call concentrated experience fieldwork, which is outlined by the BACB. And what we provide within these courses is supervised experience in the application of behavior analysis in educational settings. We have a course that is set up that throughout these courses, the first year of the Practicum, the first 2 semesters, fall and spring, the focus is really on your behavior analytic skills as a practitioner of behavior analysis. And then the second year, Practicum 3 and 4, we're really focusing on how do you supervise and consult with others to implement behavior analytic practices. As part of our Practicum experience, we have an ABA Practicum coordinator who is the liaison between you and the faculty and your placements to ensure that you are able to accrue all the hours that you need. Along with the course, so there is a course that's associated with it, and within that course, you are provided with a face-to-face seminar with a BCBA, with the instructor, and that's what we call our 1 hour of group supervision. And then you're also provided with an individual supervisor who is a BCBA, and you are provided with 1.5 hours per week of individual supervision. So the benefit of doing practicum through Johns Hopkins School of Education is that we take care of all the work of finding you a supervisor, of paying for that supervisor, of vetting that supervisor. We provide training for those supervisors. So all of that sort of guesswork of how do I find a supervisor to be able to get all of these hours, we take the guesswork out of it, and we provide that to you. So if you look at completing practicum over 4 semesters, the concentrated experience fieldwork requires that you complete 1,500 hours, with 10% of your hours need to be supervised across that entire time. So within the 4 semesters, within each semester, which is a 15-week semester, students can accrue 25 hours per week, where they are provided with 1.5 hours of individual supervision, as well as 1 hour of group supervision through the course. Although we have a pretty standard curriculum for our practicum courses, I would also like to say that they're pretty individualized. So each of our candidates are coming into the program with a variety of different skills. And so at the start of practicum, and really each semester, we do an assessment of each student's skills, and then your supervisors work with you within that practicum placement to build on those skills. Okay, I think that we've covered practicum, but I'm here to answer any questions as we get to the question portion at the end of the webinar. So some additional information. So if you complete all 7 courses, you then receive the Postmaster's Certificate in Applied Behavior Analysis from Johns Hopkins. When you then go on and successfully complete the 4 elective practicum courses, then with the 7 courses and then the practicum elective courses, you'll be eligible to apply for for certification to the BACB. So students are responsible for applying and supplying all of that information to the BACB. We do not apply for you on your behalf to become certified. We also do not provide that certification. But it is expected that students who go through our program will pursue this certification as a behavior analyst upon completion of the program. All right, so now I would like to turn things over to Bethany Fitzgerald, who is a BCBA, and she's a special educator within Baltimore County Public Schools. She graduated, I can't believe it was really a year ago, in June 2020, and she became a board certified behavior analyst in December 2020. So I'd like to, you can read over her bio here, but I'd like to turn things over to Bethany for her to talk a little bit about her experiences in the program.
Thank you, Dr. Martyr. It's such a pleasure to be here. I can't speak highly enough about the program at Hopkins. It has really, it truly has been the single most rich professional development experience that I've had in my entire career, and I feel very confident in saying that. The faculty are absolutely phenomenal. As Dr. Martyr said, all of the faculty are practicing BCBAs, and they all have very different positions, and they sort of bring that to the classroom, and it's really nice to have them share their diverse experiences. All of the professors are absolute experts in the field, and they are very, very passionate about behavior analysis, and also with that passion, they're just very dedicated to the students in the cohort, and they really support everyone, and they really want, I just felt really supported, and they really want us to be successful and become, behavior BCBAs in the field and be successful, and they really do set you up for that success. Dr. Martyr had kind of mentioned the practicum piece of the program, and my supervisor was amazing. He provided such meaningful feedback to me, and again, I felt supported by him as well in my practicum setting. He really took a lot of time to discuss the task list with me. He would come observe me weekly, and his support really helped me strengthen those skills as I was sort of finishing up the program. And it really did help me when I was starting to study for my exam. That was really beneficial. And he offered different professional opportunities at his professional development opportunities, excuse me, at his clinic, and offered to even like study with me for the exam. So that was a wonderful experience. In my current position, I am a special education teacher. And one thing that I really learned from the program and some skills that I gained were soft skills. And that was sort of something that I didn't anticipate being a component of the program. But I really learned leadership skills, interpersonal and communication skills, networking skills, and just in my previous experiences, getting my master's degree and my bachelor's degree in education programs, those weren't just necessarily those skills that I really felt like I had the opportunity to sharpen. And in the field of behavior analysis, those are really important as well. It's not just the components of the task list. So that was sort of something that I didn't anticipate, but have really helped me in my current position. As you move through the program, you're in like sort of a cohort because everyone's taking the classes at the same time. And I really had the opportunity to build relationships with a lot of the professionals in my cohort, and I didn't sort of expect that either. I have reached out several times to a lot of colleagues that I went through the program with, and it was really interesting because everyone in the program, it wasn't just like all teachers or psychologists. Everyone had like sort of a different experience and worked in a different counties and things like that. So it was really nice to learn from their experiences as well. I think I'm still very, very novice. So I think what I learned most from the classes is just like a really overall like strong foundation in behavior analysis. Every component of the program at Hopkins is intricately like developed and planned out to ensure that you walk away with the knowledge in order to be successful. And then of course, help you pass the exam. But just in talking with BCBAs that have completed other programs, I just feel like really, I just feel like it was just a wonderful experience. And again, I can't speak highly enough of the program. And I learned so much with this program, and it was so evident that everyone worked together and the faculty to really help us be successful and prepare us for the skills that we needed as we enter the field. Thank you.
Thanks, Bethany, and hopefully you can stick around a little bit to answer any questions that our participants, our attendees might have.
Absolutely.
Great, thank you. Okay, so if we move forward and sort of talk about the advantages of this program, one of the big advantages that I've sort of spoken about a little bit already is that we really are focused on education. We are not a program that's like an ABA and autism program or that prepares behavior analysts to work solely with students with autism or children with autism. For example, we're a program that really focuses on across all different types of disability types, all different types of settings, K through 12 settings, but also not your typical educational settings like home-based programs or center-based programs. We are the only graduate school of education in Maryland to offer this specialized certificate. And another advantage of the program is this practicum experience. I can't believe how many years we've been implementing practicum and running practicum, and I feel like we've gotten to, as we move into our 9th cohort of the program, we've gotten pretty streamlined with how we provide those services. We've got a great group of supervisors who come back to us every year and support our students. Especially during this past year with the pandemic, it's been quite a challenge, and our supervisors have gone above and beyond to support our students, and it's been very very thoughtful and very exciting to see our students sort of get through this sort of stage in their careers. Also, we have another advantage is that students who go through our program pass the exam. So as of March 2021, this year, we've had 63 graduates of the program who've taken the exam, and 61 graduates have become board certified. So that, is what we consider a 97% pass rate. That includes both first and second time candidates. Also, the BACB measures first-time pass rates for Hopkins, for all schools, not just for Johns Hopkins, but for all schools who offer ABA programs. And if you're familiar with the exam, it's a really tough exam. So in 2019, the pass rate was 63%. For our program in 2019, the pass rate was 76%. So we are consistently scoring for first-time test takers above the pass rate. They have not yet provided information on the 2020 pass rates, and I'm very excited for them to do so because I think our numbers will be even higher than they are already. So as soon as they are released, we will be sharing them far and wide. The final advantage of our program is the faculty. Bethany spoke about this a little bit. We have a great group of faculty who have joined us who are working in the field of applied behavior analysis, but also teaching our students. And they are very invested in our students and their progress. We spend a lot of time, you get a lot of individualized attention from our faculty within this program. And also that attention continues after you graduate from the program. So we are always in constant contact with our students and our graduates and alumni. One other thing that I did want to bring up is the way that this program is set up is what we call cohorts. So students come in all together, and I think Bethany was talking about this a little bit. So you come in with the same group of students and you go through all of the courses together. And the one reason why that's awesome is one, because you have this group of people that you can sort of commiserate with, work with, network with, and it also becomes these sort of natural groups that occur not only studying within the program, but also once you graduate from the program and preparing for the exam. I've heard lots of times of graduates of our program will pair up and study and prepare for the exam, and they all find it very useful and helpful for them so that they feel very prepared to take the exam. So the cohort model is also, I would like to add to this slide about our advantages. Okay, so the impact of our program. So our program has been running since 2013, so this will be our 9th cohort that we are admitting for the fall 2021 semester. We've had 76 students go through our program, representing a variety of educational professionals that I've mentioned previously. We also represent a variety of school systems across Maryland, 11 different school systems across Maryland, as well as DC. We've had 6 cohorts, and I really have to update that. As of today, we now have 7 cohorts who have completed the program because we just had 8 students graduate this morning from Johns Hopkins School of Education. 63 are board certified behavior analysts. 41 are also licensed behavior analysts in the state of Maryland. Here in Maryland, we are very lucky to have a licensing board for behavior analysts. So in order to practice within the state of Maryland, you should be a licensed behavior analyst. So a lot of our students who have remained in Maryland, some have left Maryland or have come into Maryland and then went back to their other states. Of those people who live in Maryland, 41 are licensed. And then finally, my last slide I want to talk to you all about, and then I will hand things back over to Sayun, is who is our ideal program candidate? I get this question a lot, like, who are you looking for this program? So first off, we're looking for somebody who desires to commit to the field of applied behavior analysis. That this is sort of where their career trajectory is taking them, that they are solely interested in behavior analysis and how it can be used to improve behaviors, human behavior, specifically within school settings. Being able to understand all the requirements that the BACB puts forth or outlined by the BACB. We don't expect everybody to understand all those requirements coming into the program. We will help guide you along the way, but there's an expectation that our students are familiar with those requirements so they know sort of what they're getting into when they engage, when they apply to this program. Another candidate is someone who's ready to commit to 2 to 3 years of intensive graduate coursework, and this program is intense. So it's not to scare anybody. It's definitely doable. We've had many people graduate from our program, but it does require a huge investment in time and resources. So being able to commit to that 2 to 3 years of graduate coursework is important. And then finally, to be able to demonstrate the meeting of all admissions requirements, which Sane will be going over with you shortly, and then also willing to work and study hard. So that's our ideal program candidate, someone who understands the requirements, is ready to sort of commit to this field, and able to work and study hard to be successful in the program. I think that was my last slide, so I'm going to hand things back to you. Thank you so much, and I'll be here to answer questions at the end.
Thank you, Dr. Martyr and Bethany, for the wonderful presentation today. So now we're going to continue by going over the application requirements. First, a 3.0 or better cumulative undergraduate grade point average. Next, applicants must submit a completed application, which can be found on our website. The application fee is $80. Official transcripts from all post-secondary institutions that you have attended. Again, this is all official transcripts, including institutions you may have taken courses but did not receive a degree. Also an essay and a current resume, 2 letters of recommendation, and finally, the GRE is not required for this program. There are a few additional steps you need to take in order to complete the application process if you're an international student. You must submit a TOEFL or IELTS score, and if your degree was completed outside of the US, you will need to complete a course-by-course evaluation. Additional information can be found on the school's website. The current tuition for the Johns Hopkins School of Education is $875 per credit for face-to-face courses and $926 plus a $20 per credit technology fee for online courses. For additional information on tuition fees, please visit the SOE website. And if you're interested in applying for financial aid, we strongly encourage you to apply for financial aid when you start your application. We do offer a limited number of partial need-based scholarships for fall and spring semester. And again, please visit our website if you have any questions relating to financial aid. Thank you for attending the Postmaster's Certificate in Applied Behavior Analysis virtual webinar. At this time, we would like to open up the floor for questions.
Thank you, Sion. I actually received a question privately. The question is, due to the effects of COVID-19, I realize you mentioned classes will be held in person in Columbia, Maryland. Will there be any online options available for the upcoming semester?
So our program is designed to be a face-to-face, in-person program. Prior to the pandemic, that is how our courses were designed. So the expectation is that folks who are in this program are in-state and are able to come to our classes here in Columbia, Maryland. We're also working within the state of Maryland with actually the Maryland State Department of Education for providing some support to students who are in more rural areas within the state of Maryland who also want to get this specialized training. So really building that capacity in certain areas where it's a little bit more difficult to get to the campus. And so we're working on some options there, which may include some virtual options, since we've really learned through the pandemic how to sort of provide instruction online. But we have found also through the pandemic that our students are most successful when they are in person. So if anybody is interested in those options, if you are located in more of a rural area within or an area that's quite far away from getting access to our campus, please make sure to reach out to me by email and we can discuss those options.
Thank you, Dr. Martyr. The next question we have from Sarah is, and I know Dr. Martyr, you did answer this one, but is this all online and how many credit hours?
Sorry, I was muted. The program is in person, as you just mentioned, and it's 21 credit hours for all of the courses, and an additional 12 credits for the practicum coursework.
Thank you, Dr. Martyr. Another message, someone messaged me, a question is, I plan on working full-time and going to school part-time. Dr. Martyr or Bethany, how many hours should I allocate on classwork per week? And also, what are some of the aspects of the ABA program that had the most impact in your current position and practice, Bethany?
Sure. So I don't think that I have like a set number of hours. It's been a while. I feel like I spent it kind of depends how you want to sort of set up a schedule as far as completing your assignments and things like and readings and all of those assignments outside of class. I pretty much worked every day on assignments in one way or another. I work full time and I have a family. So I used my weekends to get a lot of my coursework done. And then I would work 2 or 3 hours like in the evenings when like the kids went to bed and like things like that when I had some free time. But it kind of ebbed and flowed like when how that sort of looked depending on the class, and like it looked a little bit different during practicum and things like that. But I think my biggest advice for that is just to sort of come up with a schedule and do what works for you. I know some people would work on their coursework like before they went into work, depending on like what their position was. It just really sort of depends on what works best for you and your family situation and your other responsibilities. And then what was the second part of that question? I'm sorry.
The second part of the question was, what aspect of the ABA program has had the most impact in your current position and practice?
So I've used a lot, like everything, I think, really from the program. I'm currently a special education, self-contained classroom teacher, kindergarten through 3rd grade. So I use the principles of behavior analysis with my students every day. But I've also used different components as far as training adults. I've learned a lot of like leadership skills and skills for training adults and collecting data so that my classroom moves like very efficiently and the students really like maximize their time there and have, you know, increased the skills that they've learned in the classroom. So I guess it would be like training adults was a huge component for me, and that's a lot of the practicum. There's a huge part of the practicum that you sort of focus on training adults and things like that, and writing protocols and writing programs for your students or clients. And then again, like the soft skills, like I had kind of mentioned before, those networking skills, those communication skills, have really helped me working in a school system and working with professionals that have that kind of come to you with a lot of different experiences and skill sets. That's been really beneficial. I hope that answers your question.
So I also just want to jump into, and I think Bethany covered this, this is Dr. Murder, that the program is really designed for the working professional so that folks are able to work full-time and then take courses in the evenings. The courses are offered during the first year across 2 days. So there's 2 days where you come to campus. And then the second year and third year of the program, we try to offer the course and then the practicum class on the same night. So that means you're only coming to the campus 1 night a week. Sometimes schedules don't allow for it, but we prioritize that. So we want to make sure that because we know our students work very hard, they're full-time professionals, and we also want to make sure that they sort of have that time where they're only traveling once to campus.
Thank you, Dr. Martyr. Next question we have, can the practicum course be substituted with the field experience?
So I see that question from Stacy, and thank you so much. And I'm so glad you were able to join us today. I know we've had a few emails back and forth. If you could actually unmute yourself and sort of clarify that question, because I want to make sure I can answer it. So when you mean the practicum course being substituted with field experience, I'm thinking that you're saying, can you not do the practicum elective with us and do field experience on your own? But I do want you to sort of clarify so I can make sure I'm answering your question.
Yes, good afternoon, and thank you so much for reading my question and asking for clarifications. Yes, I was wondering if the practicum can be equal to the work I do on my current job. I a special educator in self-contained environment at the residential placement facility, which is Maryland Department of Health, mental health facility.
Okay, great. So the practicum course is how you accrue those field experience hours. We just call it practicum, but it is how you accrue those field experience hours. If you have a BCBA on site who provides you supervision already, and you can get those hours on your own, and you don't need the practicum course, then yes, you could do the field experience sort of on your own, as long as you are following all the BACB guidelines for those field experience hours. But if you do the practicum through us, we will provide a BCBA. If you don't have a BCBA, let's say on site, we would provide you with a BCBA who matches your background and your experience as well as the placement that you're in. And then they will help you accrue those field experience hours as part of the practicum. Does that answer your question, Stacy? Oh, good. I see that.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Martyr. We have one question, again, was messaged. What are the benefits of completing the practicum experience with Johns Hopkins as opposed to working with an independent BACB supervisor?
Sorry, I was on mute again. I would say the benefits really are being able to we vet those supervisors for you. So we are making sure that the supervisors meet all the BACB requirements. So there's certain requirements that the supervisors have to have. So they have to have passed continuing education hours on supervision. They had to take an 8-hour supervision course before they can be supervised. We also require a certain number of hours practicing before they become supervisors. We provide training to our supervisors throughout the year. We also coordinate all of the payment. So I would say one of the benefits is that you pay tuition to us for the practicum course, but we pay all the supervisors. So you don't have to worry about paying the supervisors each week or writing a check each week. We sort of cover all of that for you. And it is included within that tuition that you pay to Johns Hopkins, but it's one less thing you have to worry about as you're trying to accrue all of these hours. The other thing is we've sort of done the math a little bit and looking at sort of the daily rate that people charge for supervision outside of a university is quite hefty. And so we feel, based on sort of our calculations and how we determine things, is that it's a little more cost effective to do practicum through us, through our practicum courses. So it's more cost effective to do field experience with us through our practicum courses. So I would say those are the major benefits for sure.
All right, it looks like we have no more questions. Thank you for joining us today. Please keep in mind we are accepting applications for the fall 2021 start term. And on this slide, you'll see important contact information. Please reach out to my colleague Tanya for admissions related questions and Camila and Dr. Martyr for program related questions. Thank you again for your interest in the Johns Hopkins School of Education. Have a great evening, everyone.